Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Premier. Your government's own research shows that investments of the past Liberal governments that we were making in healthcare, education, justice and social services has aided this province. These investments provided much-needed services.
I apologize to the member for Scarborough-Guildwood. I apologize. I'm going to give you extra time. The government has to come to order. I apologize once again, member for Scarborough-Guildwood.
Provided much-needed services to the people of Ontario, like basic income, social supports, environmental protection, fair workplaces, and even teaching things like consent, which we sorely need. They were also made, according to the FAO, because Ontario had to catch up. This province was behind because of years of austerity it was subject to under a previous Conservative government. Will your government's economic statement bring back austerity measures and eliminate programs and services that the people of Ontario rely on?
Premier.
Treasury Board.
President of the Treasury Board.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member opposite for that question. Mr. Speaker, our government was elected because we said that we would do things differently than the previous Liberal government. We need to reform public services that puts reliability and the taxpayer at the centre of everything we do to get the finances in this province back in order. We need to reform public services in a way that puts reliability and the taxpayer at the centre. Every action that we take has been about responsible fiscal planning and a more sustainable government, precisely so that we can protect frontline services and jobs while investing in priorities for the people of Ontario. Mr. Speaker, I very much look forward, like I'm sure the whole House does, to hear from the Minister of Finance at 1 o'clock. You're all invited for it.
Supplementary.
Speaker, and again to the Premier. You know, you have to be clear and open with the people of Ontario about what this all means. In fact,
order on the government
promises will exacerbate the fiscal challenges that we face. And in fact, we are at risk of losing the progress that we've made in this province. Your government is here to make sure that all Ontarians have health care, education, justice, and social services that they depend on. So I ask you again, Premier, will your government continue to make investments in the services and the supports that the people of Ontario rely on, or will you return to the austerity of the 1990s?
President of the Treasury Board.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Speaker, and to the member for that question. You know, when she speaks about the path that we've inherited from the previous Liberal government, what she's done is she's indebted the province not only for this generation but for future generations, and that's what we're going to fix. And you know, Mr. Speaker, I find it very rich to hear about making things clear and open, as she says the previous Liberal government did. That's why we had the Commission of Inquiry, which told us we don't have a $6 billion deficit, we got a $15 billion deficit. That's why we did a line-by-line review that showed us that this province is falling behind every other province and is not protecting core services, let alone providing the funding for future services in health care and education, for bridges and tunnels. Mr. Speaker, that's what the people elected from us expect of us, and that's what we will do.